can't dance, I say it again, you got no chance, no. That's a High School Musical reference for all you jocks and jans out there. Just because someone is referred to as a celebrity doesn't always mean that they're good at their job. Welcome to Beyond the Screen, I'm Nate, and today we're breaking down the top 10 celebrities that can act. Number 10. Jaden Smith. Jaden started his acting career at a young age thanks to his father, Will Smith, casting him in several roles alongside himself in projects like The Pursuit of Happiness and After Earth. While he may have been thrust onto the silver screen and stayed there for a few years, those few years were spent with a guy who wanted nothing to do with whatever shoot that he was involved with. The characters he played were lifeless, and he tended to be met with mixed results. But since giving the acting gig up in 2013, following the critical bomb that was After Earth, Jaden shifted his focus into something that he actually cared about: music. We caught a brief glimpse of his talents when he collaborated with Canadian artist Justin Bieber to create the song Never Say Never, featured during the end credits of the Karate Kid reboot from 2010. He eventually released his debut album Sire in 2017 and has maintained a successful career in both music and in the world of fashion, with Smith taking the concept to a whole new level. He may be a terrible actor, but at least he seems to have a good head on his shoulders in spite of his questionable upbringing. Number 9. Channing Tatum. Channing first popped into the world of acting in 2006, starring in 2 movies in completely different genres. Step Up was a dramatic piece that centered heavily on the dancing aspect of Tatum's skills, while the comedy film She's the Man, starring Amanda Bynes, was set up to be his big break in the comedy scene, and in a way, it was. You see, Channing is not a good actor. This dude can't make us cry or anything like that. However, much like Seth Rogen, Channing is able to play himself to a T. He found his footing in the world of comedy, and he clearly got the bug after starring with Amanda, as made apparent by his several roles alongside comedy greats like Jonah Hill, Sandra Bullock, and Danny McBride, and just so many more. His career has been slowly gaining traction, with Channing being casted over and over again in franchises like 21 Jump Street, Kingsman, and he's even set to star in a reboot of the beloved drama Ghost, starring Patrick Swayze. Now that one might be a bit of a misstep for Tatum, considering just how serious that role is. Recently, the proof that Channing was not an actor but a mere portrayer of himself was presented to us in the form of Magic Mike 3, a movie chock full of cringy dialogue, character motivation, and a surprisingly stiff performance from Channing. Well, not stiff in every sense, wink wink. Wait, hopefully Channing sticks to where he's most comfortable and Sony finally coughs up the cash for a 23 Jump Street. We'll be waiting. Number 8. Kim Kardashian. Now, Kim Kardashian isn't usually associated with the word actor, and it's for a good reason. The Keeping Up with the Kardashians star is an entrepreneur and is described as many people as being famous for simply just being famous, with her antics on her reality show garnering her more acclaim than any other prospects. And thank goodness! Because, in case you didn't know, she tried to make a move into the acting world and it was not good. Kim felt that her first role on the silver screen should be in something professional, Oscar-worthy even, which is why she decided to participate in a little flick called Disaster Movie in 2008. Kim played Lisa, which was basically just herself, but she didn't want to say that, and the film parodied basically every type of movie, from High School Musical to The Incredible Hulk to Indiana Jones. Seriously, this thing was all over the place. The movie is one of the most random ones to come out of the parody craze of the early and mid 2000s, but it's Kim's performance that is the most random of them all. She sounds like she's reading her lines off of a cue card, her facial expressions rarely change, and her acting was so bad that, spoiler alert, her character was written out halfway through the movie. Yeah, she gets crushed by an asteroid. Like I said, it's just all over the place. If you need further proof, just ask her ex-boyfriend Pete Davidson, who witnessed firsthand just how dreadful her acting can be. She flubbed lines, she broke character, and overall just seemed like she didn't want to be involved when she hosted Saturday Night Live in 2020. Well, that's on whoever hired Kim Kardashian to host a sketch show. Come on, keep it in the realm of reality, Kim. Number 7. Chris Pratt. Maybe you know him. Star-Lord. Chris Pratt had a massively successful career since first starring as the lovable Andy Dwyer on the hit mockumentary series Parks and Recreation. But since then, he starred in blockbuster giants like the Jurassic Park trilogy, the Marvel Universe, and he's even the voice of Mario now. Woohoo! This guy is unstoppable. Well, hopefully that's not true. Chris isn't very versatile in his acting abilities. Sure, he's like a solid performer in the comedy world, but every attempt to do anything beyond that just comes off as out of place and out of character. And if that's not bad enough, there is a good chance that he has some pretty messed up views on the world as well. In 2013, Chris was involved with an organization called the Hillsong Church. This megachurch is known for being notoriously anti-LGBTQ+. While it was only ever rumored that he was involved with the controversial group, it was confirmed by his ex-wife and fellow actor Anna Faris that he certainly wasn't against their beliefs. She claims that Chris didn't deny specifically being involved with the church until 2022 because he didn't want to throw a church under the bus. Hey Chris, that church might have done some pretty shady stuff, so toss him under the bus like you're trying to skip a rock. Number 6, Dave Bautista. The big bad Bautista first speared his way into the wrestling world in 2002, quickly making a name for himself as a force to be reckoned with. In the same form as many fellow WWE fighters like Dwayne Johnson and John Cena, Dave decided to branch out onto the silver screen, making his acting debut in the film The Man with the Iron Fists as the brute Brass Body. A man, well, brass body. He has in case the title didn't give it away, this movie isn't exactly subtle about its material. While this may have kickstarted his career, anyone who has seen Dave act on screen knows that this man has two facial expressions. Gah! And thankfully, that's all you need to play someone like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy, but for more dialogue-heavy roles like Knock at the Cabin and Army of the Dead, yeah, you need some range. While Dwayne Johnson and John Cena have gone on to have relatively fruitful careers in the acting world, Bautista seems to be having some trouble figuring out where exactly he lands in the whole genre thing. My Spy, a comedy, bad acting. Army of the Dead, action zombie movie, bad acting. Knock at the Cabin, suspense thriller, bad acting. You see the pattern? Do you see the pattern here? So far, the only role he has played consistently and without much comment is in Guardians of the Galaxy. But following the third entry, Drax is currently being put on shelf until the fourth movie is ready to be made, which could take years. So maybe we'll get a My Spy 2 or something in the meantime. My Spy 2, I spy with my little eye. Ugh, don't make that. Don't make that. Number 5, Nicolas Cage. Nick Cage is the most unhinged man in Hollywood history. What's odd about Nick is that despite his erratic behavior and larger-than-life persona, he's actually a relatively tame man in real life. But he's not known to be a massive party boy or partake in or illegal substances, but his behavior on set and on screen would suggest otherwise. Nick is one of those people who takes their roles too far and makes everyone else on set just uncomfortable because of their antics. For many roles over the years, he's done everything from eat cockroaches, had his teeth pulled out, he's fought snakes, and he even kept a fellow performer intoxicated in his trailer just to gain tips from him while filming. Whenever he's asked about his methods over the years, he's claimed that everything he's done is in pursuit of the project. The goal is to deliver the best performance possible by whatever means necessary. Okay, well that might be a good answer, but just watch his movies over the years. He's played every character under the sun: cops, superheroes, journalists, treasure hunters, pinball enthusiasts, and now he's Dracula. He's under the impression that he's the greatest and most versatile actor of all time, when in reality it just feels like he's been meditating for 5 straight years and somebody just blew a bullhorn in his face. Number 4, Taylor Lautner. Taylor started popping up in movies in 2005. He was so young and full of life. His first jobs were playing Shark Boy in the Robert Rodriguez flick Shark Boy and Lava Girl, as well as Elliot Murtaugh in the sequel to the comedy classic Cheaper by the Dozen. I love that movie so much. As he matured, so did his roles, eventually landing him in the spot of Jacob Black in the Twilight series alongside Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. Overall, the Twilight series is just difficult to watch, but Taylor's delivery is the hardest to sit through of them all. Jacob is meant to be a wolf, strong and commanding, but the on-screen turn felt whiny and sad. Following the end of that series, Taylor received a handful of roles in projects varying from big budget to Adam Sandler asked me to do this one. That was in fact his last big role, starring as one of the titular Ridiculous Six in Adam Sandler's first Netflix outing. If you forgot that movie existed, good. Keep it that way. Taylor's acting hasn't improved over the years, but he is currently attempting to make a name for himself in the world of streaming. Somebody do a Twilight series with this man involved, please. Number 3, Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester knocked his way through the world of Hollywood in the 1970s, starring as the titular fighter Rocky in the franchise of the same name. While this man has gone on to star in action flick after action flick, we can agree that it's basically the same flick, right? In Rocky, he plays a brooding boxer. In Rambo, he plays plays a brooding Marine. In Expendables, he plays himself, which is basically a brooding Marine. Do you see the pattern? People always praise Sly for his chops on screen, but the man has no chops. If you put every poster with his face on it side by side, you would swear it's the same picture just aged up over and over and over again. While he may not be in the mainstream as much these days, he does still get work, even appearing as Starhawk in the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise as, guess what, a brooding space pirate. Regardless of what role he's in, we're certain his last words on screen will be Number 2, John Travolta. Well, I've got chills, ooh, and I think it's because I'm about to talk about John Travolta. John has gone down in musical history as the man behind the black leather and hair gel in the musical Grease from 1978. Thanks to the success of the film, John was offered multiple big budget roles over the next 20 years, appearing in movies like Pulp Fiction, Face Off, and he even made a brief return to the musical world when he played the role of Tina Turnblad in the 2007 film adaptation of Hairspray. That role is what first caught most people's eye though as the example to why this man might be a rough actor. His performances have been stiff over the years, with him pretending to be Nick Cage pretending to be himself in Face Off being the best performance he's delivered so far. A prime example of John's terrible talents is in the sci-fi trash bag Battlefield Earth, in which he plays an alien security chief that looks like John Travolta and a predator had a baby. The style of the film is bad enough, but it's the fact that John wrote, produced, and stars in the flick that earned him a place on this list. He literally had every single say in what the final product of the film would be, and it still turned into a flaming pile of space dung. And at number one, Jared Leto. Jared is an interesting fella. He started his own religious group, he brings a new meaning to the word method acting, and let's just face it, this guy sucks. As an actor, Jared has attempted to portray many characters over the years with minimal love. He tried to play Marvel villain Morbius in a solo flick and that flopped. His role in Blade Runner 2049? And let's talk about Joker for a second. Over the past few years, reports from Jared's fellow actors have been anything but positive. During his time as the Joker, he left his castmates use adult devices, pig heads, and live snakes in their trailers as so-called gifts. He was trying to stay method as the Joker, but anyone on the receiving end of those gifts probably wished that he would just stop immediately and relax. On top of that, he's been known to stay in character, meaning that if he's playing someone angry or silent, and that's how he is the entire time. This guy hasn't really been questioned for his actions at any point in his career, only being called a weirdo, and we're just gonna leave it at that, you know? With his career still going steady, he seems to have decided to take the CGI route and have his face transformed into a ghostly ghoul in the new Haunted Mansion movie set to release this summer. So here's hoping it's his last performance and he stays a ghost. Those are the celebrities that just can't act. Did we miss anybody that you despise? Let us know in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed our content. Thanks for stopping beyond the screen with us today, and we'll see you next time.